before I invite my amazing panelists up here, I thought I'll just give a little bit of a backdrop, just 3 slides on kind of some history of revenue management technology as well as distribution and social technology, just kind of to set the context. So it all started in the 1960s. And one of the things you'll notice is that as we go from decade to decade, the list gets longer and longer. So the speed of technology coming on board and new types of technology being introduced is just so exponential. So back in the 1960s, there was Sabre. Sabre was actually American Airlines' internal reservations. So it wasn't really a revenue management system at the time. It wasn't a global distribution system, GDS. Then we went to the 1970s. So we had Apollo, which is later on became a GDS, but was at that time United Airlines. Then actually Westron was one of the first hotel groups, CRS, which was actually a West Indian system. And then towards the end of the 1970s, then Sabre became a GDS by providing a system to travel agents to be able to book on it as well. And as I say, the list gets a little longer. So in the 1980s, we had MS Windows. Then Sabre, or rather American Airlines, developed its own in-house revenue management system. So that is what I would call so-called, in a way, our industry's first or very early revenue management systems, part of AA. Then the SDR benchmark, as we all know it now, actually started back in the 1980s. Then this concept of switch, the Disco and the Wiscom switch. Of course, now we have, the HSMAI, we have the Derbysoft, which are all connectors. So the concept of this switch connecting hotels and airlines with global distribution systems, that came around in the 1980s. And then the revenue management systems for hotels also came about then. So while IDEAS is not the first of the revenue management system providers, but in terms of here in Asia Pacific and among all the sort of very strong, robust players whom we know, they're one of the earlier ones that came up with a commercial product that you could take in. In the 1990s, we had the World Wide Web. It's really very surprising how recent only this whole phenomena of the World Wide Web, which is now completely taken over every aspect of our life. Then the big hotel chains, the Marriotts, the Hiltons, the IHGs, started really to build in-house robust revenue management systems. Then browsers came about, so you have Netscape, then the Internet Explorer, and at the same time, of course, then search started to make its entry. You had Yahoo and the Googles. Then towards 96, 97, that's when OTAs, our very beloved and very pervasive partners now in, again, every aspect of hotel and hospitality, they started. The Expedia, Travelocity, and Priceline all came up within a couple of years from each other, 96 to 98. Then this passkey is actually a group type of a volume group handling system. So I'm not sure how many, I think a lot of hotel groups do use it, but it's more pervasive in America than here. So passkey group reservation concepts came in. Then by the end of 1990s, really, while 90% of large hotel chains, not independents, have websites, but less than 40% of them actually have instant confirmation and not really linked to a sort of a real-time booking engine. Then another phenomena that came in, and we know every country has introduced their own, but I think nothing has been really taken the market by storm like all the Chinese players. So the Baidus, the Alibaba, the Tencents, and the C-Trips were all started around towards the end of the 1990s. And then in terms of revenue management area, things like group displacement, understanding that should you take this group, what it will displace in terms of your transient revenue started to be built into revenue management systems. So you see some of those areas are marked in red. I've kind of just highlighted red would be those that are more related specifically to hotel revenue management. The rest are a little bit more about the whole world of distribution and social and digital. But I thought it would be easy to just kind of wrap them all together so that you can see the transition from decade to decade. So 2000s, and again, these are just the highlights of some of the first movers into these areas because, as you know, almost every day a new technology company in hospitality is coming up. the hotels, we went into this concept of bar pricing, which is why you were asking, so is bar pricing still relevant? So in the early sort of 2000s, this concept of bar pricing became far stronger and became like the norm. Everybody knows that this is what revenue management is doing. We are actually optimizing on the bar price. Then the European Opodo and Orbitz came in. The OTA share and margin, the overall share, that means the volume that's been booked through OTAs, as well as the margin. Nowadays, I know some of us have to grapple with margins that are as high as 30%. In those early parts of 2000, the margins were much smaller. But then 911 happened. And when 911 happened, the fastest way to move inventory for so many of the hotels around the world, because they could react and they could get your pricing out there, were really the OTAs. So Expedia and Priceline, especially these two, gained a lot of market share and actually managed to negotiate a lot of amazing margins at a time. And they have never looked back. I think it's only really been progressing more and more. So by then, 64% of hotels now, a little up from the 40%, have booking engines towards the early 2000s. Then search engines and SEO started to become a priority. A lot of people understood the concept, were willing to put money behind it, so that became a lot more pervasive in the early to mid-2000s. And then meta search came in, so you have the kayaks, and then later on the chinas that were coming in. Then competitor influence pricing. So again, back to revenue management, you had the bar pricing, and now your bar pricing was not just understanding your own demand, it was also understanding what should your price be relative to your competitors. So I kind of put rate gain there, and later Banu will join me on stage, because I think that's also a big development for us to not just look at internal demand that's affecting you, but always to understand what is relative like to your competitors. So in 2006, the internet has finally outstripped GDS in terms of number of bookings. Then brand.com took a slightly different focus. So now we've got instant booking engines, we've got the some of the pricing on it, we've got competitor influence pricing, and now really for brand.com at that time was really content is king, something that we continue to hear all the way through since 2007. And the flash sales type of specialist niche sites came and went very quickly, as Fabian explained, but it did come around 2007 or so. And then right at the end came the Airbnb and the Ubers. Although really Airbnb really didn't take off for many years. I think 2009 to 2010, they were still operating at very, very low volumes. But just within the last 2-3 years especially, it's just exploded as the whole concept of sharing economy, from taxis to even having a meal at home and all that has exploded. And then we come to 2010. And 2010, if you take a look at it, the list is